Okay, in the very last movie, what we did go ahead and cover was levels and a little bit of curves. I focus more on levels because I like the way it works a lot better than curves. Now, a lot of people come into curves and they go ahead and do an S curve and be fine with that adjustment, which is perfectly great if that's the way that you want to go ahead and work on an image. I prefer to go ahead and have levels. One of the things I do like about levels is that you're able to go ahead and see what you're almost clipping, and allow you to go ahead and see what areas are you actually affecting to go ahead and give the contrast and to lighten. So this actually gives the image a little bit more of a punch. It goes ahead and affects the background, the foreground, and a little bit just to give you a little bit more contrast. And of course, the more contrast, the more sharper an image goes ahead and looks. So going to adjustments, I went ahead and saved that selection that I did in levels. Now I'm going to go ahead and go into vibrance, which is part of the adjustment panel that deals with color. This actually is taken from Lightroom. If you notice on Lightroom, when you go ahead and work with saturation, vibrance is at the very top. And if you didn't know what it did before, what it does is it goes ahead and saturates the muted colors. Now, saturation does go ahead and saturate everything across the board, and it gives you a unrealistic representation of what color can be. Now, if that's what you want in your image, great. If you want to go for the surreal, but if you want to go ahead and make your images pop, but don't make them look like a drawing or a surreal type of image, use vibrance. It'll go ahead and give it pop to muted colors. And as you can see, I went ahead and took this up pretty high before it starts to really affect the image. If I look at my preview from before to now, I mean, it brought out a lot of nice colors, but it didn't go ahead and do a real drastic job in doing that. So I think that it created a nice pop on my image. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and create a snapshot so I can go ahead and cycle before and after so I can see the way that the image was before and the way the image is now. So I do like this. The next adjustment that we're going to work with is going to be hue and saturation. And of course, you have your obvious where you can go ahead and lighten up an image, so you can go ahead and give it that see-through look, or you can go ahead and desaturate an image so it can have, a very nice, almost white out black and white image that a lot of people like to go ahead and include in their albums. So this would be the way of doing that. You can go ahead and choose colorize, and with colorize, you can actually go ahead and choose a color from a spectrum that you want to go ahead and add. This is great if you want to go ahead and get like a sepia color. And if you remember some of the settings, you can go ahead and get a really, really nice sepia tone. And so this works very well. Now, like Photoshop has like 100 different ways of doing the same thing. So this is one way of adding color to a black and white image. And of course, if you're not happy with the way that you went ahead and changed the image, you can always go ahead and press Alt and reset, and it goes ahead and reverts back. The other thing that you can do with the hue and saturation, you can go ahead and select certain colors. Like for example, if I only want to go ahead and go ahead and choose the dress and affect the dress, and everything else stay the same. By going to well, in this case, I went to masters and I'm going to blues, and I'm choosing this right here, and moving the tab, I'll go ahead and actually only affect the dress. So all of a sudden it looks like she had a different dress altogether, and that's really, really neat that you can go ahead and do that. Now, the only thing that I do notice is that on certain aspects you do have some color fringing. That's okay. You're not going to have that all the time. And if you want to work on a better way of switching colors, because there are those dark lines right there, you might want to try one of the other adjustments like replace color, and those work a little bit better. But still, nevertheless, hue and saturation is a very powerful tool, and one that should be, the best way I can say it, try it out, and with different experimentations, see what you get. Now, color balance, what that gives you, I again, we're talking about the color wheel and certain things. And here's a real good sample. Cyan is canceled out by red, magenta is canceled out by green, and yellow is canceled out with blue. We did go ahead and cover this on levels. And if, for example, this image may seem a little bit too warm, I can go ahead and add a little bit more blue, and that will go ahead and cool the image, and it makes the image look a whole lot different. Or you can go ahead and add some magenta if in case the skin tone seems to be a little bit too green. And when I say green, it's from here. If it was this is the original image, it would be too green, so you want to add some magenta to go ahead and balance it out. Um, Now on this, you can actually only affect midtones, or you can go ahead and select only shadows or only highlights. So the options that it has are very intuitive, and like all um, adjustments, just hold Alt and press reset, and it goes back to its original setting. And looking at this now again, after I went ahead and did that change, I think it does need a little bit of magenta, just a slight bit, maybe at 3. And you look at the before and after, it's a very slight difference, but just enough that when you go ahead and print it out, you actually have truer skin tones. People aren't green, they're a little bit fleshy, so they have a little bit of red in them. Just remember that. The other thing is black and white. Very interesting when you go into black and white, because you can select certain colors and it'll go ahead and give you different combinations of when you affect certain color levels. So you go to your yellows and the greens and be switching things around. And let me zoom out so you can see what it actually is doing. It's changing different, taking different colors and changing them around. So here I can darken her dress up, leave it bright. Um, the greens and the yellows, if I wanted them darken, I can go ahead and darken all that up. And it just creates a whole entire different picture. I can go ahead and brighten up her skin because most skin is actually on the red channel, and that's what you're working on. And last but not least, you can go ahead and come in and choose tint, and here you can go ahead and select what kind of tint you want. So if you go ahead and select more muted tints, and you can pump up the saturation or lower saturation depending on what you want, and really create some really unique images using this black and white. It works really well. It's just something to go ahead and work with. You can go ahead and add contrast to things that you normally would not, and we'll go ahead and just reset that because that's not what I want to go ahead and do. Press cancel, and now I'm going to photo filter. Now, I really don't like to use photo filter because it gives you different results when you go ahead and try different colors. So you don't necessarily know what it's going to give you. Um, and I mean, it's good to try out certain things, but I think there's an easier way. And even though it's not grouped with the color, I think it should be mixing with the color adjustments. And before we go a little bit further, you have here again the channel mixer, and it just goes ahead and mixes in different colors in there. So um, the only thing is it's just does it so strongly that I don't think it would be useful. What is very useful is variations. Now variations also gives you a color wheel again. Now you can choose coarse, and coarse of course will go ahead and give you a lot of color, or you can go fine, and it just gives you like a very fine adjustment. So let's say I wanted to make the image a little bit more warmer. I wanted to use an orange filter. Well, I know that yellow and red give me orange. So if I press yellow once and I press red once and I press OK, the image is actually more orange. And I'll go ahead and go in and show you how that is. This is before and this is after. So now the image is a little bit more warmer. Um, and part of the things is when you go ahead and warm up an image, it actually makes it a little bit more brighter, more inviting. But we'll go ahead and cover a little bit more of variations, and we'll do that in the next movie.